Yo, yo.
So it says, read about wildfire rescues. Okay, let's see. Okay, so wildfires are big fires that happen in open areas like forests. One property of a wildfire is that people have a hard time stopping them because they spread quickly. They can be caused by weather events like lightning or droughts, times when there isn't much rain. Hot, dry winds push the fires around.
Okay. Wildfires are big fires that happen in open areas like forests. One property of a wildfire is that people had a hard time stopping them because they spread quickly. They can be caused by weather events like lightning or drought time. When there isn't much rain, hot, dry winds push the fire around.
Good. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 words here. So the first one you already know, so a property. We have talked about property of a rock, right? And a property of a rock is, so we know that there's luster and there's hardness. Very good. Okay, but what is a property? We know that the properties of rocks are those 2, but what is the definition of a property?
Oh, boy. All right, let me think. Property, when you tell about an object.
Very good, exactly. Very, very good. Yeah, so you're kind of like describing or you're telling how, you know, the object is made or anything like that, okay? So here we are not talking about properties of a rock, but we're talking about properties of a wildfire, okay? So what does this say? What is the property of a wildfire?
One property of a wildfire is that people can have a hard time stopping them because they spread quickly.
Okay, so that is the most important thing to know about a wildfire, okay? So, you know, it starts as any other fire, but the problem here is that, you know, if there's just one tiny little, you know, flame of fire on a tree, all of a sudden, like 2 minutes later, the whole area is on fire now. So it just spreads so quickly in a very short amount of time, okay?
But 2 minutes is so long.
It is very long, but in 2 minutes, imagine a whole mountain burning down or a whole, you know, huge piece of forest burning down. And it's something that it's very hard to control, and the firefighters have a very hard time, you know, putting this fire out, okay, because it gets really, really big. And so it says that there are 2 reasons why these fires are caused. So what are the 2 reasons?
They can be caused by weather events like lightning or drought.
Droughts, very good. So we've talked about lightning before, right? So why do you think lightning can cause a wildfire?
Oh, like lightning hits a tree, and then like lightning hits a tree, the tree split in half, there are going to be a fire.
Exactly, right. And look, there's this word here in bold letters, droughts. So a drought, Alita, is when it doesn't rain at all, okay? So imagine like months and months and months without any rain. So when there's no rain at all, the soil gets very, you know, like very dry. The plants get very dry. And what happens when a plant is dry? What does it look like?
It will be like a desert, no plant at all.
Yeah, and sometimes, for example, if it's a place with a lot of plants and there's no water, they're going to die, right? And when plants die, they kind of look like hay, you know that things that the horses eat?
Or, oh yeah, like Maybe I have a lot of them.
Really? Yeah. So all of those little, dead plants, it's very easy for them to catch fire. Okay, so if there's a drought and for some reason, there was an accident or, a lightning hit, all of those plants that are dead on the soil, they're just going to catch fire super, super quickly. Okay, so that's why it's so dangerous.
But you said in your place it never ever rains. In 1 year there only just 5 rains. So maybe your place caught fire easily?
Well, in the city where I live, not really, because we don't have many plants on the mountains. So if there's a fire, it's just like rocks, so it really won't spread, right? But there is a forest about 2 hours from where I live, and there's a lot of trees. And so during the drought or during the time where there is no rain at all, they have a big sign on the road. And on that sign, it says, be careful, wildfire, that it's very, how do I say this? So it's so dry that if you're not careful and if you decide to maybe make a barbecue outside and you accidentally drop something, the forest can catch on fire very, very easily. So that's why they like to tell people, be careful, if you're going to build a campfire when you go camping, just be careful or anything like that.
You say you live on a country, but with mountains. What do you mean?
Wait, what?
City, I mean. You say you live in a city, but with mountains. I thought with mountains, you just, like not tall buildings, not apartments. So many apartments called city. But you said there's rain for forest first, and you have mountains, and that's all tiny houses right now, very tall as an apartment, right?
Well, so cities can be different, right? So there are some cities that are flat, so no mountains. I think like the one where you live, right? There's no mountains around.
Definitely no mountains.
Yeah. And then there's other cities where there are a lot of mountains around the city. So imagine like the mountains being over here. And so the city and the tall buildings are going to be here in the center, so away from the mountains. But the city has both mountains on the outside, it also has big tall buildings, but closer to the center.
I'm going to give you a safety tip.
You're gonna what?
I'm going to give you a safety tip.
Oh, what's your safety tip?
Make sure the mountain you live aren't a volcano, alright?
Okay. Yeah, luckily we don't have any volcanoes here, so that's the good thing.
Alright.
And so also, Alita, look, also winds are very dangerous, okay? Because imagine this. So what if there's a small, tiny fire in the forest, but all of a sudden there's a very strong wind? What do you think is going to happen?
The fire spreads super duper quickly.
Right. Yep. So that's why also, when it's very dry, when there's a drought, and when you combine that with winds, it's just super dangerous. Okay, so wildfires make many changes to the earth. Some changes you see right away. Trees, crops, and other plants are burned. Other changes you see later on. Different plants might grow back.
Alright. Wildfire make many changes to the earth. Some changes you see right away. Tree, crop, and other plants are burned. Other changes you see later on. Different plants might grow back. People rescue.
Okay. So people rescues. Sometimes it is not safe for people to stay in their homes when a wildfire is nearby. firefighters warn people about the fires.
Sometimes it's not safe for people to stay in their homes. There are wildfires is nearby. Firefighters warn people about the fires.
Good. Okay, so actually, not too long ago, I don't know if you heard about it, but there was a big, huge wildfire in Australia. And it took over a big part of the whole country, a big part of the whole of Australia. And so there was a lot of videos where animals were, kangaroos and koalas were, walking in the streets because they had no more, their homes were destroyed. The koalas didn't have any more trees to climb. They were, looking for food. They were looking for water. And so people went out to help these animals. So, they would take a koala that was, maybe burned or, hurt from the fire, and they would give it some water, some food, and just make sure it was okay. And also in California, I think it was also not too long ago, there was a wildfire near many big houses, also in mountains. And so the firefighters told these people, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to leave your homes. So all of these people had to leave their houses in case the wildfire burned their homes.
Yeah, I just thought of a fire, but it's not a wildfire.
Yeah.
And it's not a fire.
What is it?
It's a tall building, and I see it on TikTok. And a tall building and a plane blew past. And
oh yeah, the 9/11 in New York, right?
Yes, in New York.
Yep. Okay, so
it's really sad.
It is really sad. So look at this. Here, this is a good example. So can you see all of these dry plants? They look like tall grass. Can you see the color?
Yep.
They're very dry. They're not green anymore. They're kind of, a brownish, yellowish color. So when plants are this dry, it is much easier for them to burn than if the plants were actually green.
All right.
So if a fire gets too close, firefighters tell people that they need to leave their homes. Sometimes a fire can prevent people from driving away. Then firefighters might use a helicopter to fly people to safety.
So a fire gets too close, firefighters tell people that they need to leave their home. Sometimes a fire can prevent people from driving away. The firefighter might use a helicopter to fly to safety.
Okay, animal rescues. Most animals know how to get away from fire by running, flying, or burrowing into the ground. Animals that are too young or injured might not escape. Rescuers help those animals get away. They might bring them to a wildlife shelter. People there treat animals that were hurt by the fire or smoke. Working together, people help others and animals stay safe from wildfires.
Animal rescue. Most animals know how to get away from fire by running, flying, or burrowing into the ground. Animals that are too young or diminished might not escape. Rescuers help those animals get away. They might bring them to a wildlife shelter. People there treat animals that were hurt by the fire or smoke. Working together, people help other animals stay safe from wildfire.
Okay, good. So look at this word here, wildlife shelter. Can you think of another story that we've read that had a wildlife shelter?
Yep, it's on another literature book. It's on the literature one. His name is Anna, and Q, A is the answer, and the Q is the question we ask. And blah blah blah. If we gave cat to exercise, the cat is not going to be happy. The dog will.
But okay, I'm thinking of a different story. So there was one where they took an animal from the wild and they took it into this wildlife shelter and they took care of it. Do you remember which one?
Lola and Tiva?
Yeah, Lola and Tiva. So was the rhino Lola or was the rhino Tiva? Lola, right?
Definitely Lola.
Yeah.
Tiva is rhino. Tiva is a little girl.
Yeah, I forgot. Okay, so Lola, her mom was very sick, right? Or she had some trouble.
No. It's not sick.
She
The mom is
see.
blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She couldn't see. So Lola needed a lot of help, just getting her food, learning how to do things, like roll in the mud, all of that. And so,
No.
Yes, ma'am.
No, you forgot the story. I think you need to put that.
I'm not telling you the whole story. I'm telling you just some parts of it, okay?
Alright.
Okay. And so Lola was in a wildlife shelter, okay? And so these animals that, they, as I was telling you from Australia, when these animals, they don't have a home, they don't have what to eat, these shelters take these animals in, okay? So look at this poor koala right here. So he's probably very thirsty. And so he looks like a firefighter, he has his little jacket on and he's giving the koala some water, okay?
But look at his face. David Tree is saving the koala, saving Sam. But look at Tree's face.
Yeah, right here.
Yep.
Yep. It looks like he has some ashes, right, or something on there. So it says,
What's he thinking?
This, I think it's some water. I don't know. So it says, a rescuer named David Tree saved this koala named Sam.
Sam is kind of cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. Pretty big too, right? I've seen some koalas that are very, very small. This one looks a little bit
This
bigger.
small?
I don't think that's small. Maybe when they're born. No. Probably when they're born, maybe they're like this big.
This big?
Yeah, like that big. Okay. So how does the earth change after a wildfire?
So burn homes and the home has been burned. Some fire officers didn't survive. Plants might grow back. Warn people about the fire. And some koalas, mom and dad, might not survive.
Right. Yeah. Good. Okay, and then how are the changes to the earth? Okay. How are the changes to the earth caused by volcanoes and wildfires alike and different?
So they're all red. Lava are red and fire are red.
Yeah.
And they're both dangerous.
They are.
They need to run by them.
Yeah, and so what happens when the lava, is coming out of the volcano? And what happens if there's a forest around the volcano? What is going to happen to the forest?
The trees are going to pretend on the tree and they're going, oh, lava. Oh.
Yep. Yeah, so they get destroyed and die, right?
Yep. And the difference is the firefighter can rescue, make sure it's can, C-A-N, can rescue fire, but they can't flying leaf team can't rescue a volcano.
Right, yeah. So both of these, all of those are very good answers, Alita. And also both of these are, they're very sad things that happen, and very dangerous things that happen, but they are all nature, okay? They're part of the earth. And so these things, it's not like, so the volcanoes and the fires, they're very dangerous to humans, but as humans, there is very little that we can do. Like how can you stop a volcano? You can't, right? You can probably just run away from it, but you can't really just like put a piece of tape on top of the volcano so it doesn't explode. We can't do that, right?
Yep. And if you like been through something, it's just an experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with fires we can, help a little bit more. So if we go to a place and we know that the plants are very dry and there's very strong winds, then we need to be careful if we're going to make a campfire or if we're going to do anything with fire, right? Just, make sure that, the wind is not going to take the fire out of a little campfire and make a wildfire.
Yep.
Right.
And maybe you need to go to jail.
Maybe, right, if you cause a big fire. But also, so many times wildfires start by themselves. So a human doesn't light something. So imagine if you have like two pieces of very dry plants together and the sun is hitting them and hitting them. So the sun is so hot on those two pieces of plants that it burns and starts to make a little fire on its own. So, it's something very dangerous.
If maybe you have a wildfire and wind blow and you create a big fire and the blah, 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 and those burn like buildings, maybe it will cost you like $1 trillion.
Whoa. If a lot of things burn, maybe. I'm not actually sure what happens if you caused the wildfire, but I'm guessing that you would get in a lot of trouble.